Remember going into the 2016 election, the assumption was that Donald Trump wanted to run for the presidency so he could start his own media outlet. That organisations like Fox News deliberately tried to tilt things in favour of one candidate or the other. Well, I want you to imagine that this next thing I'm going to tell you was about anything that came from conservative media. Could you imagine what the outcry would be? But because Michael Bloomberg is the billionaire that they like, there doesn't seem to be a problem. Well, according to Mediaite, which is a news monitoring website in the United States, generally leans left, they say that Bloomberg News is about to return to its normal coverage because the former mayor of New York City has now dropped out of the race and he puts his billions behind Joe Biden. But have a look at this. When Bloomberg announced that he was running for president, the Bloomberg News editor-in-chief sent out a memo. This memo said, among other things, how staff would not continue investigations when it came to anything to do with their boss, and that they would extend courtesy to Democratic rivals. When Bloomberg was asked about this, he said, when it comes to a paycheck, you just have to learn to live with some things. They get a paycheck, but with your paycheck comes some restrictions and responsibilities. Could you honestly imagine that? If an evil media mogul was caught saying something like that? Could you imagine if a memo was sent to staff telling them which way to run or not to run on candidates? This is the conspiracy theory that the left think about organisations like ours. It's simply not true. It doesn't happen. We have free thought, free opinion. We get to push back. But if you work for Mini Mike, well, you weren't allowed to investigate the NDAs. That, of course, came out in that disgraceful performance when Elizabeth Warren tore him limb from limb. It means, of course, that this is a genuine story about someone trying to affect news coverage that was beneficial to a side of politics and a candidate in particular. But because it's their billionaire, who cares? As I said, Mini Mike's thrown his money behind Joe Biden, who is now almost steaming his way towards the Democratic nomination. The next states are a whole lot better for him, and the buffer that Bernie thought he'd get out of Super Tuesday frankly didn't happen. So here's Mini Mike pledging billions and a data operation to Biden.
I've always believed that defeating Donald Trump starts with uniting behind the candidate with the best shot to do it. And after yesterday's vote, it is clear that candidate is my friend and a great American, Joe Biden. I've known Joe for a very long time. I know his decency, his honesty, his commitment to the issues that are so important to our country.
Ugh, yawn. But it's billions of dollars. It's a big operation, and that is what the president is going to be fighting against. That said, you should know a little story that you didn't hear out of Super Tuesday is that the number of people who were voting for Donald Trump in the Republican primaries, where basically no one was running against him, is at record highs. In some states, he got more than any president in the past 40 years of people who were voting to support him. And in places like Texas, the total number of people who voted for the president to be returned and to be the Republican nominee in November was the entire Democratic field combined. So yes, the media, big tech, big money is going to push hard for their guy. But the same people who fought and won for their guy in 2016 are ready to come back even harder in 2020.